I've gotten a ton of questions on our recent lives about quantum computing. So I want to take a second to address what that actually means when it comes to business strategies and how you can be looking at actually quantum strategies in your enterprise software today. So like many things in modern technology, we have kind of this popular culture vision of like what the quantum realm is, like the back of someone's van time machine where you jump in and have all of these like subatomic particles that are running around you, or you're able to kind of time jump. And while there's people out there that say, those things are possible, and maybe they are, I'm not a physicist. When we come to quantum computing, that's an actual business strategy that we can start to look at that will become an actual implementable strategy in just a few years down the road. So when we talk about quantum computing, what the heck does that mean? That really means using principles of advanced mathematics like superposition or entanglement to perform calculations that are outside the possibility of today's computers. And because of the opening of artificial intelligence and machine learning within business strategies, we've started to see initiatives that involve quantum computing in things like drug discovery, material science, when it comes to process manufacturing, financial modeling. We've seen it in cybersecurity, cryptography, all kinds of different areas of computing that really brings data intelligence to the next level. So that's cool and all, but what does that mean for me and my business? Great question. So we've seen tech giants like IBM, Google, Microsoft that really are investing heavily not only in quantum research, but really upskilling their employees to understand what this means for business strategies, optimization in things like supply chain management, cybersecurity, finance, and really that materials discovery is a big one. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you an actual case study from Boeing that talks more about that. Now, obviously, this can be challenging to adopt as any new emerging technology. The skill sets are very limited, and the people that manage these technologies, we're talking math elites, my friends. Some of the most accomplished people in establishing new algorithms and understanding how that worked, compared with the best communicators in your organization that can really explain, hey, we're not all going to time jump in the back of a van, right? We're going to actually have some efficiency outcomes and to gain ROI out of these new quantum mechanics that we're establishing within our overall IT landscape. Okay, so let's dig into a real world example of what this can look like from a business standpoint as opposed to just conceptual, untangible benefits of quantum computing. So Boeing, obviously one of the world's largest aviation companies, and IBM Quantum partnered on looking at the ply composite within their manufacturing process. And this really takes quantum computing applications, breaks it down, and applies it to the aerospace industry. So what they're doing is using data to optimize this layer of their manufacturing process using quantum computing. This team successfully ran what they called the largest binary optimization problem ever handled by a quantum computer. And again, when we hear that, we think, Back to the Future. But then not actually what that means. They actually utilized this optimization to look at that ply composite layer, which is made up of many fabrics that are kind of sewn together to make the plane lighter, stronger, and more fuel efficient. So it actually does have a lot to do with the overall structure of the airplane, utilizing this very granular layer of data. So that's in their manufacturing. They also use quantum research in their R&D development when it comes to things like corrosion on their aircrafts. Now, this is a multi-billion-dollar problem for the aerospace industry because these chemical reactions are still a lot are unknown when it comes to planes and the different areas and climates in which they fly. This research and doing things like simulating water reduction can lead to new corrosion resistant materials, which would obviously have a significant cost implications for the longevity of these aircrafts. Early adopters are going to gain a massive edge in this industry if they collect and protect their intellectual property. So you need to make sure that you have someone involved in this conversation that not only functionally knows how to do it in your industry, but you're also protecting your IP in these contracts. So what are you going to do today to start at least having this conversation within your industry? You're going to look for specific case studies to your industry. You have questions about it. I love a good case study. Shoot me a DM and we'll talk about it. You're going to look at where this kind of fits in your roadmap and some real world problem solving. No back of the van technology, right, folks? We're looking at real world technical capabilities, and that's all going to start with your fundamentals around your data strategy. You're also going to need to take a hard look at your infrastructure. It takes some serious horsepower to run these types of computing programs, but there are platforms. So we have quantum computing as a service platform. I'm not even QSAS. I don't know what we call it, but there are platforms out there that have these kind of high performance classic computers that manage these quantum elements so that you're able to better understand how they fit into your business. You need to understand your integrations. I've said it before, I've said it 1,000 times, but if you don't understand your overall architecture, if you don't have enterprise architects that understand these integrations or how data is passed across your entire computing ecosystem, this is not going to work. You need to establish those fundamentals in internal competencies before you're ready to even utter the word quantum computing. Words. The last thing I'm going to mention here is a projected adoption timeline in looking at quantum computing. And I got this from ERP today. I think it's genius when you really break down what is this going to look like not only for you, but as an industry. So I'll link the full article below. But basically what we're looking at is 1 to 3 years of those pilot programs, those speed to value programs, where you're looking at that ply composite layer of your organization that you can actually have that quantum encryption adoption and those early AI integrations. So you're looking at an AI pilot, definitely think about what's the next step of that pilot to make this area of my organization most efficient. Then in about 4 to 7 years, we're really looking at that mainstream commercial viability. So the cloud-based quantum computing becoming more of the mainstream, think today's SaaS, and really reducing those operational costs from 15 to 30%. And then 18 to 15 years, that cryptography is really, that quantum secure cryptography is really mainstream and focusing in real-time materials, things like drug discovery, AI-driven decision-making. So be a game changer when it comes to enterprise technology. Think about it. In 8 to 15 years, many of us will still be in the workforce working in IT. So when we think about a mainstream competency, think about it. We'll all still be in the workforce, most of us, in 8 to 15 years. This needs to be a main consideration in your strategies. We should all have a 5-year roadmap when it comes to technology. This is something we need to start thinking about. The more we start thinking about it, considering it, and understanding it, the more we are able to reap the benefits from it faster. Speed to value.